Last week we did our video regarding things that we did not like about our fellow RVers and campers.
So this week we're flipping the script and we're going to talk about the things that we absolutely love about our fellow RVers and campers.
So stick around and stay tuned for our list of things we like about our fellow RVers.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. If you're new to our channel, we appreciate you stopping by. If you've been with us from the get-go, thanks for sticking around. But without further ado, let's jump right into it.
Number 1. RVers are always willing to help. Every time we've been out in campground and we have any problem at all with our RV, we've always been able to find somebody that's willing to help or see that we've got a problem and just jump in and help us. That is really helpful.
Sometimes our help can go a little too far when you're trying to back in your trailer, but their heart and mind are in the right place. That brings us to number 2 on our list. Sometimes you may have a problem that may arise in your RV, and we consider ourselves fairly mechanically inclined, savvy to a certain degree.
Sort of.
I have a background in a little bit of aircraft maintenance, not RV maintenance. But sometimes there are problems that come up that we can't fix, or we don't know enough about, or we can't find the solution well enough, or we don't understand the instructions that are online that people have pointed to. That's where our fellow campers and RVers come in, because guarantee it, someone in that campground has probably had that same problem.
And you too will become very seasoned once you have a problem of your own and you see somebody else having that same problem for their first time, you'll be able to pitch in and help. Number 3 on our list, someone always seems to have a spare part. For example, we were in Branson a few weeks ago and my water hose was leaking. Well, the neighbor next door, he happened to have the little gaskets for our hose, so we didn't have to go get them, and that was very appreciative. Some people, like we, even have an extra water pump in case that were to happen.
There's been numerous times, though, when we first started out that we would blow a fuse, and we learned real quick to keep a little stash of fuses. But if you haven't got your little stash of fuses of different amperages, chances are someone in the park again may have a fuse for you as well.
And you know, it always seems that something goes wrong with a camper on the weekend, on a holiday, or something when the local hardware store isn't either available or isn't open. So always trust that maybe another fellow RVer might have that spare part available.
Absolutely. Number 4 on our list is kind of in line with number 3 about having spare parts, but this goes for tools. Sometimes you know what it is that's broke, you know how to fix it, but you may not have all the tools to get the job done. I can almost guarantee any full-timer out there has at least a small set of tools, because you're going to use tools somewhere along the way if you're full-timing. So chances are, if you need a tool, others around you may have a tool. We have no problem lending tools. I can actually give an example of this. This was just a jack. It wasn't even a normal tool. It came out of the Forerunner. We were in Tinker Air Force Base. It was right before lockdowns, or during lockdowns when it first hit in 2020. We had just started on the road. The neighbor across from us, they were in their little Airstream. It was a smaller Airstream, and they had a flat, but they did not have a jack. Or the jack that came with their little Subaru that they were towing it with wouldn't jack it up high enough. So they came and borrowed the jack, and then obviously gave it back, did everything. And coincidentally enough, those are the same individuals we ran into when we were in Colorado Springs. They were at the Air Force Academy fan camp, and we got to, socialize with them a little bit more there.
So don't feel that you have to buy every single tool that you ever need, because especially if it's just a one-time only thing, you might be able to find somebody that has that and saves you the cost of the purchase of the tool and having to lug it around. So number 5 on our list of things we like about fellow RVers is they may let you try a product that you're interested in but just don't happen to have and just are on the fence of maybe purchasing or not. An example of that is when we were headed up to Michigan, we stopped at a campground in Missouri, and friends of ours happened to have the MoRide hitch stabilizer, and we had never seen one or tried one. And I didn't want to actually go ahead and make that purchase until I was actually able to test it out. And they let us use it for a night, and we found that worked out great.
And the next thing you know, we're headed up to Michigan, and we were, 30 miles away from Moride, so we just drove over there, and we ended up buying that hitch stabilizer because it worked so well. We even got the X braces for the up front, and the video for that we'll plug in somewhere up here from where we installed it. But it's good to have people that's already got product testing under, so they do the legwork for you, and if they can let you borrow it, once again, thanks Wade, thanks Holly, it came in handy, and we love that we have ours now too.
Yep. And the important thing is, there may be a product that you see on another RV, and go ahead, just ask them about it, what they like about it, what they dislike about it, before you make that purchase.
So number 6 on the things that we like about our fellow RVers is the fact that, say, you have had just, if anything's going to go wrong, it probably is going to go wrong on your travel day. So travel days are already stressful enough, so when you finally get to your next campground, you get set up, nobody really feels like cooking. You've already made your lunch probably during that morning before you left the previous campground. So fellow RVers that are in the campground, they can give you more on what you need to know about the local area cuisine, attractions, whatever, and you can actually get real world reviews and not just read them online. They can actually tell you portion sizes, all that kind of stuff, and they'll let you know. So we always like, when we get into a campground, if it's packed, it's kind of winter now, so some of them are, people are sporadic, so we're not going to just go. But if we see them outside, we'll definitely ask them what is the best place to eat since you've been here, if you have eaten out. A lot of times when you check in, because you got to remember, a lot of them are when you first check in and come into your campground, that's probably a camp host, and they've probably been there for a little bit. So those are usually the ones that we usually pick their brain a little bit to find out the good places to eat. And obviously it has worked because we have blossomed since we started full-time RVing.
Number 7 on our list is your fellow RVers may give you recommendations for camping and travel things to see along the way. Here's an example. We were in Virginia at a campground, and the people across from us happened to be in an area that we were headed to, Bar Harbor, Maine. And they gave us a list of places to go along the way, different campgrounds that we should stop at to get up there, and while we were there, what to see, what to do. And what was really nice is they added in which parks actually had dog parks that we could take Ava to. So that was really helpful. Unexpected, I didn't even expect it, but that actually helped guide us to get to Bar Harbor.
So yeah, that is I like that point that you brought up, because when you're in previous campgrounds, a lot of people may be going the same route as you, and they may be going ahead of you or vice versa, so they can, or they've been there previous, like you said. So they can also give you travel routes, different roads to avoid, we all have GPS, we all have certain things that we use to get us from point A to point B, so we don't go under low bridges, but not too many people, they'll get on like the Facebook groups and like, oh, I-10 by Louisiana is horrible, and it is. they're right, but some people will actually give you even the side roads that, hey, you may want to avoid this, it's low shoulder, or something to that effect.
And actually what's helpful is when they tell you the campgrounds to avoid, and there are plenty of those, they'll tell us, oh, we're too big for that campground, or that campground was really tight and they didn't recommend it, or the inclines, and once they've stayed at a campground, they just don't like it, they'll let you know.
Absolutely, and that came in handy once again when we were in Virginia, because people told us about the 1,000 Trails in Richmond or in Williamsburg, and they were right, it was tight. And unfortunately, that is also where we did the damage to our roof that we had to have repaired this summer.
We could put a link up there.
We'll put a link up here. There's 2 videos out on that we did that was too long, but at first I thought it was a warranty thing, but it came out to be a negligent thing for us. And Grand Design was still pretty good to work with on that one. But yes, definitely they'll tell you which way and which campground, which way to go and which campgrounds to avoid, which roads to avoid. So number 8 on our list is going to be recommendations for new tech or RV gadgets, which has come in handy, especially with our YouTube channel that we're trying to get going. It's been kind of a slow start for us, but I think some of it is our part. But the new gadget I'm talking about is a new camera that we're going to start filming with. I need to get certain things for it still. I need to get a new lens. But I'm glad that I got to actually test it out. Now, granted, you can go to Best Buy or something like that and you can try out any of the gadgets if it's camera equipment or whatever, electronics. For this, I'm talking about electronics, but there's all kinds of other gadgets like your propane gauges and to check. There's so much tech out there. I would like to go to the people who are actually using it and listen to their pros and cons. It's kind of, you can't really get a feel reviews online, and yeah, it's a good way to inquire about stuff, but getting real person, like that person's right in front of you talking to you about it, and you see the emotion of either dislike or like of that gadget, actually goes far. And a lot of people have a lot of gadgets out there, and beyond their RV, beyond what is like stock on their RV.
Yep. And remember, not every gadget or not any gadget is actually perfect. And it's only good as what you're using it for. So, for example, a camera that we may have may be good for what we need to use it for, but it may not be good for the professional photographer that's doing wedding photos or something like that. So it's very good to find someone in your niche or in your community of likeness that is using a gadget the same way as you would, and get that honest review. So number 9 on our list is those RVers that may not be in immediate contact with you or in your campground. Those are the people that are on social media. And there are a lot of groups and forums that we've got a lot of information for, and whenever we've gone to post something, especially on our specific RV model type, they respond within minutes to, less than 30 minutes to actually get us an answer to what our problem is. So remember, you're not stuck with just the fellow RVers that are in your campground or in the local vicinity. You can also reach out to them through social media, through the different groups, different forums that are out there, and you can actually find different ways that you can get it for your specific RV.
Yeah, so like for us, we have a Grand Design Reflection 303 RLS. You can go to Grand Design RV for Life, and you may get some answers there. But then you can go to Grand Design Reflection, and they have Facebook groups for that, and you may be able to get it. And then you can even get it down to your specific model, which I think is what you're trying to say. And you can actually get it to the point where it is. They can show you exactly where the problem is, and like if you can get to the smallest bite,
right,
the smallest piece possible, chances are you can find your answer pretty quick. I'm on there all the time. I try to. Phil Sears, I know he runs the 303 RLS page, and is always on there. That man has like a plethora of knowledge. So I know if we have issues that we can't figure out ourselves or somebody in the park can't, that's exactly where I go. And I'm pretty much going to call out Phil Sears and be like, hey, what can I do?
And we definitely want to thank Phil because he's helped us out a lot. Even though we've never met in person, we feel like we can count on him.
Hopefully at some rally. I don't know which one, but hopefully sometime, Phil, we can meet you.
And even though we specifically talked about our rig right now, we also used it when we had our Columbus, and we also used it when we had our Southwind. So you can find any RV make, manufacture, and model on a Facebook group at least.
Absolutely. All you got to do is go in there and search, and guarantee it, you'll probably find something. And if you don't understand how to search or want to, go ahead and leave us a comment down below if you don't know exactly how to do all that, like on Facebook, and I'll try to walk you through it as easy as I can.
Yeah. If you've got a specific model of RV and you want us to try to help you find a group to help you with problems, go ahead and let us know what it is. We'll help you.
So the last but certainly not least on our things that we like about our fellow campers and RVers is that they're easy to socialize with. And I can actually put my stamp of approval on that and say that they're easy to socialize with, because although I am good at talking to the camera, when it's time to talk to the camera, I am an introvert by heart. I do not like to go out and talk to people very often, but when it's something that I like, which is RVing and camping and doing the things that I like to do, and then I find someone who also likes doing those things as well, it takes some of that off because we have a background. I don't do small talk very easy, but when it's over something that I know a lot about and they do too, and we can just sit there and talk back and forth, before you know it, you've had a friend that seems like you've had for 20 years and it may only been 20 minutes.
And you never know when you're going to run into your fellow RVer again, and that's happened to us several times. We talked about the ones that we were camping with at Tinker and happened to see them again at the Air Force Academy in Colorado.
And then it happened to us when we were in North Carolina at Whispering Pines Thousand Trails. And then I was walking Ava when we got to Hershey, Pennsylvania. We went to Hershey Thousand Trails, and we were in Zone H. We were up on the hill.
Right. Zone.
Awesome. If that's where you want to be, up on the hill. And they were all the way across the park, and I did not know that those people were over there. We just talked. They were going back up. They were from Massachusetts, I think is where they were from. But they were just going back home. They'd been in Florida for the winter. And lo and behold, I'm walking Ava, and there they are. They were getting ready to hook up, though, so I didn't talk to them. I just waved to them and kept going. I don't even know if they recognized me, but I recognized them. But that's the last thing. I mean, I'm willing to help. I'm willing to talk, but I don't want to socialize or talk with anybody. And honestly, I don't want anybody talking or socializing with us when it's time to hook up or when we're disconnecting, because that's how stuff gets missed, and it can lead to a travesty.
And then there was also the two campers, Tin Can Living, and another couple that was in Gloucester, Virginia, and they were at Williamsburg when we were there.
Well, yeah, Tin Can Living, they are still active duty. He's Navy, and he rotates through, him and his wife and their dog. I cannot remember their dog's name. It's a little pug. I can't remember your dog's name right now, but they're definitely our kind of people. They like to sample brews and certain things. They're definitely our kind of people. But we have also ran into other people that we didn't necessarily talk to, because I remember when we were in Willis, Texas, right after we first after we came out of the polar vortex and we were trying to make our way over to Florida, there was those people from Kansas that had the tiny home. And they had a tiny home, and then we saw them over in Williamsburg, that same tiny home, because they had their Harley parked out, because it was also a tiny home toy hauler. I don't know how to explain it, but I wanted to go inside that thing and look at it, because I've always wanted a tiny home.
So believe it or not, the RV community really is a small community that you're going to run into people as we travel. And that all happened in 1 year.
That was 1 year. And I know our previous video made it seem like, oh, why are we doing this if we dislike so much? Those are very small, and it's happened a few times, some of those things, but they're very few and far between. And the good of RVers definitely, by leaps and bounds, outweighs the negative that comes along with some of this. But that's how it is in life. You're going to get good and bad and sticks and bricks, whatever it is that you may be doing. There's going to be good sides, there's going to be bad sides, and you're going to have good people and bad people no matter where you go. There's some people that just don't care about rules.
And one thing that you're going to like about your fellow RVer is you're always going to create memories that will last you your lifetime. So there you have it. That's our list of 10 things that we like about our fellow RVers. But that's not an all-inclusive list, and I'm sure that you can think of one or two yourself. If so, please leave them in the comments and share them with your other fellow RVers.
And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you didn't like this video, and please consider subscribing to our channel. So until the next video,
where will the road take you?
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights.